all of the Myanmar team is now in Chiang Mai, right?
Yeah, most
That's
of us are in Chiang Mai already, but some are still left in Myanmar.
right. And you are fine, right? You are not affected by the disease, okay?
Yeah.
So please keep healthy. Actually, Ajahn Poo and I will discuss a bit more about, outdoor classes, and we hope that we can do that sometimes. But we need to talk how can we integrate the ones who are not here at the moment. So I really like to join the cruise. I mean, we can we have a lot of activities outside. We can look at the cities and we can join the workshop and whatever. Okay. And how are you this week? So we haven't met for 2 weeks already.
Yes, we read what we need, why the city we need.
Right. And
just before I am listening the forum that they are doing in UN Habitat.
I see. You like it?
Yes, but it's still on the way, not finished yet because that one is very long one.
Really?
In Myanmar, the connection and the electricity is went out very often, and then it takes several hours when the electricity went out. And at the time, we also difficult to access the internet.
Right.
So that is
So
why
that's why.
so that is why I came here, and then it is now okay.
Yes, yes. And do you like to go to the department or you stay at home?
Yesterday and the day before yesterday, I went to the department and informed about my arrival here. And
I think the atmosphere around the department is very good, right? Have you been walking to the Angkeo reservoir? Yes, you should.
Yeah, okay. Yesterday I just stay and study in the student study room.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So I think almost all of us is here to Ajahn. So 11 of the students, I think.
Yes.
So
yes, 11.
11, can I just quickly check who's here? Hey, Kyria. Hello. If I still pronounce your name wrong, please forgive me. Wow. So, Jonathan, you have a new haircut?
No, Jan. Just same.
Okay. Chiria? Okay, you are...
Good afternoon, Ajahn. Yeah.
Okay. And now you are in Chiang Mai, right?
Yes.
Last time you were in Bangkok.
Yes, now I'm in Chiang Mai.
Great.
Good afternoon, Ajahn. Yeah.
Okay. And Roland, I think, okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Present.
Eugene, I see.
Hi, present. I'm not yet in Chiang Mai.
I see. When will you be in Chiang Mai?
I'm still processing my visa. Hopefully, this month.
I see. So, is there a problem of your visa or only take time?
Yeah, it's taking time to process. It takes about 2 weeks to process it.
I see. I see. I hope we can meet at least by the what is it? The second half of the term. Okay. And now
Yes.
Ray. Am I pronouncing
Good
your name
afternoon,
right?
Ajahn.
Good afternoon. Am I calling you right? Rain.
Yes, that's correct,
Rainy?
Ajahn. Yeah.
Okay. And Clyde? Hello.
Present, Ajahn. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You will be in your country until the end of the term, right?
Nope, I would be going to Chiang Mai, I think this August 15, and I would be going there with my prof, who was also taking up his doctorate in Chiang Mai.
I see. That's great. So I will talk with Ajahn Pu very soon about, how to alter the class, not only
Yeah,
online. Okay.
I'm very much looking forward for it, Ajahn.
Yes, me too. Okay, Yi, you are here. And then Colin, are you here?
Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm
Where are
present.
you? Can you switch?
I'm currently now in Rangoon.
I see.
Yeah, unfortunately, the school still does not send me an official invitation letter because they said there's a change in the presidency of the CMU. So maybe they are busy now, but I hope
Oh,
they can send me sooner.
I see. So you will be in Chiang Mai. Now you're in Bangkok waiting for the letter.
For now, I'm now in Rangoon.
I
I'm
see.
waiting for the invitation letter.
Sorry. I see. Okay. Hope to see you soon. And
See you.
Vicky Shu,
Yeah, hi.
hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you in Chiang Mai now?
Yes, I'm in Chiang Mai.
That's great. And Monji Hyeo,
Yes, present agent.
Monji. I like your photograph,
Thanks.
your avatar. Can you switch on to see real you?
Yeah, yes, agent.
I see. Now are you in Chiang Mai?
Yes.
Wow, I think most of us now. Okay, the next one is Sapel. Are you in?
Yes, I'm present here.
Right. So you are in Chiang Mai now, right?
Yes, I am.
Great. And Jonathan, you're here. Very nice to meet you again.
Yes, thank you. Jen.
And
So I
how's
missed
your-
the past 2 weeks ago because I was traveling, Jen. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
I see. Ajahn Pu will summarize about the work that we have assigned and the one that who have been missing something. I think next time. Yamin, are you in now?
Hello, Jen. Yes. Hello, Jen.
Could you switch on your video? Afternoon. Okay. Where are you now? Where are you now? Yamin, where are you? In Chiang Mai. Okay, you probably have a problem with your internet. Okay, I hope you can fix it soon. Okay, and next one. Right, next one. Oh, what's your name? 814. What's your name? Probably he's not here. Okay. And Pin Pew. I'm sorry that I need to try to pronounce your name and look for your face. I don't like to talk to like, you know, a wallpaper. So he's not in as well. So Eugene, you are here, right? I wonder, Roland and Eugene.
I'm available.
I see. So I see. So you are together and you can use one account, right? Okay. Okay, that's great. So very nice to meet you today. And I hope you enjoy your holidays. And now we start to brush up our academic life. Today, as last time, I would like to show only that what we were up to last time, just in case for the people who were not here. And I hope you can join us. Okay. I share the slide. And I need to place slideshow here. I just like to brush up your brain and also my brain, because I haven't talked in English for 2 weeks, only in Thai. Last time we asked you to study the Sustainable Development Goals and then read the city we need, right? For the city we need, I asked you to choose at least one of the principles of the new urban paradigm and also at least one of the drivers for change. And I asked you whether you can see how you can analyze your city with those, perspective. I just like to show you that what's the aims of what I have done, what we have done in class so far. So I like you to familiarize yourself with the word Sustainable Development Goals, because we are based on the Sustainable Development City, right? So we need to familiarize ourselves very well what is the Sustainable Development Goals and how can we achieve it if it's possible. And we like to have a knowledge on the latest issue on urban development. I think the city we need has printed on 2016, which is some years ago, but I think it's still be very, very, we can call it the latest issues, right? And then I hope you will all be able to analyze and synthesize, the Sustainable Development Goal with drivers for change in the real situation, which means your city or your example. And let's see how can we go. So I just want to show, I hope now you are very, have knowledgeable about the goals and the 17 goals. And I like to discuss a bit further on the city we need, that how you feel about it. And we will share on I just want you to, write on the whiteboard. I will share very soon. I hope you look all these, and at least understand what does it say about the 17 goals and what it's all about. Before or after, I think after, because last time we talking about the city, right? And then we also talking about the the population size of the city, and then I went to this. I can copy it to you in the chat if you want to. I can copy this if you want to, so you can look at just at the, sorry. Okay. If you want to look at it later, I would like to, if I cannot respond activity, I got sick. Oh, okay. Sorry. Monji, sorry to hear that. It's okay. So I put the link. You can copy it to somewhere, and then you find the 10 largest cities in the world by population later, but I can show you later. And now, before we go through the city we need and the principal and the drivers, I just want to to rush to bring you to this. So I will share the whiteboard, and could you I will share the whiteboard again, and could you just type what principle do you pick up and what drivers do you pick up in the whiteboard? Just type or write. I think type. Share and whiteboard. So I hope you can write on it or type. You can click at the T here to just type. If it's possible, just type your name and the drivers, no, not the driver, the principle of a new urban paradigm, and then the driver that, because last time I asked you to choose at least one of the principle and one of the driver for change, right? Could you put it here? Anywhere, I think anywhere in the whiteboard. And we will talk about it a little bit. It's okay if you cannot write, you can, I don't know. Yes, principle 9 is healthy and promotes well-being, right? And please write your name too, so I know who's the owner of. If you cannot write it, could you, what is it, say something, could you show the sign? You can show the sign, right? For example, raise your hand or share. Okay, principle 9 and
I can write again, so that is why I just posted in the chat box.
I see. Okay. We cannot access the whiteboard during the screen share. Really? Who is
Yes,
it?
Ajahn.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me. It's up to. I'm trying to access to the whiteboard, but there's no mention that I cannot access to it during the screen share. So I just write it down on the chat.
Oh, sorry. What should I do? Should I stop share? So if I stop share,
Hello, Safio. I think you can try pressing the view options, and then when you press the view option, after that you can press the annotate, and then you can insert the text. That is what I did, so I can write something in the whiteboard.
yeah, I think everybody should be able to write something.
So you mean like, so the view option is when you are able to access to the whiteboard, right?
Yes. That would be it. You
Yeah,
can
when
see
I
there.
press, yeah, when I press whiteboard, it mentioned that you cannot open a whiteboard during a session. I don't know why.
No, that wouldn't be the option. So you can write above the screen. You can see the text where you are viewing Pranam Tansukanon screen. Then beside that there would be the view options. Then you can press that. Then under that press the annotate. Then press the text. So you can write something in the whiteboard.
I like it actually. We try to use the technology, right? But it doesn't work sometimes. Okay. Jonathan, I can copy.
Sorry, Jen, I cannot use the whiteboard as well because I'm using an Android version, so I cannot use the desktop version.
Okay, Jonathan. Here I should change. Okay. you see later, right? And what about the drivers of change? I think it should go together in one place, because actually I ask you to choose one of each and then analyze your city, right? Oh, somebody can write it. It's good. Jamin, Sapiel, Jonathan, EE, Pauline, Renee, Syria. Syria have to. Oh, okay. I like to put it together. Is it possible in one place? EE, what's your driver of change choice? Because you put principle 2 here. Principle 2. Affordable, accessible, and equitable. Yeah. Oops. Oops. Now my whiteboard is too small, isn't it? Can I delete this one?
Yes, Ajahn, please.
How can I delete it? Clear. I don't know how to delete it. because it asks viewers from. Ui, sorry. Sorry. I don't know how to do this one. I just put it away. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not bad. Okay. Principle 5, principle 9. Clyde, socially inclusive. What's the number?
That's principle number 1, Ajahn.
Number 1. Number 1 is social inclusive. Okay. Can I write it? I can also write it. Great. Number 8, number 4, we have number 1, number 2, number 3, 2 of number 4, and number 5 and number 9. Okay. Very good. And what about the driver? Government and partnership. What number is it? I cannot remember either.
Sorry, Jan, so that is driver 1.
Driver 1 here.
Driver 1 here. 1. Okay. Governance and partnership. And EE, have you chosen your driver of change? I can put it for you.
Yes, Jen. I choose also number 1.
Number
Governance and
1,
partnership.
governance and partnership. I'm not sure that it will help. I try. This is quite new to me too, but I like to try and we will discuss if possible. And Clyde, who else haven't put the driver for change? I think Yamin, you haven't put driver for change, haven't you?
Yes, Ajahn.
Or what number would you like to put? What's your choice?
I would like to put driver number 7, economy and livelihoods again.
7, which is, I need to look, I cannot remember it. Economy and livelihood.
Livelihood.
Livelihood. I like this one too. Great. And Sapio?
Hello, Ajahn. I will choose number 8, driver, I would say, which is education.
Yes. After this, I will ask your opinion, something. Colleen?
Yes.
You haven't put driver for change?
Hello, sir. Driver pushing.
Yes.
Inclusiveness and
What number?
sustainability, something like this.
What number? Okay. Maybe you.
Actually, I don't get that point. From where do I need to choose the driver for change?
Where you mean?
Yeah,
It's in
where can I choose the driver for change?
it's in the article, because the article has two parts. The first
Yes.
part is principle for new urban paradigm, and then the second part is drivers of change. So it's like, you know, the aim and then the
I don't
tool.
still get the article. I have to wait. Sorry for that.
Okay. Okay. I will start from Clyde. Is it possible? Because you choose number one. So,
Hello.
yeah, can you just tell your feeling? I mean, when you read, what do you feel? What do you learn? And why do you choose this? I don't ask you to analyze or cross, you know, with your city yet. Just, you know, easy going. What do you feel when you read this article?
Okay, Jen. I would just also indicate why I have chosen the first option, the first
Right.
principle. The city we need is socially inclusive and engaging. So actually, I have chosen three principles. It comes along with the city we need is safe, healthy, and promotes well-being, and the one with the city we need is collectively managed and democratically governed. These three principles for me converges in one simple thing, and this is the focus to the people. So I think that social inclusivity and engagement would allow fairness between constituents, and that people are not discriminated and could participate in political and economic life of the society. The second one, the city we need is safe, healthy, and promotes well-being. It is also equally as important because it encourages health and safety, that everyone is enriched to achieve their full potential as people. And the third one, the city we need is collectively managed and democratically governed. It guarantees that the political system is not ruled by despots and tyrants, and people and each individual in the community is as important as the one that are mandated to create policies. Hence, this provides a focus of people centricity, where governments would, I think, consult citizens about their needs and would encourage their direct participation in policymaking and service design and also delivery. And people centricity would also require a civil service that is representative and would be inclusive of the society's its policies and the service target, and that would be the people.
Right. So you choose this because you think it's important to your city, or because you see the problems around you and you think that this policy or these aims or this ideology is important, isn't it?
Yes, Ajan. That was yeah.
And the drivers of change, have you chosen one?
We actually have the same question with Jowlin, because I don't actually understand what it means by the driver of.
I see. So you didn't see the part drivers of change?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Ajan. I haven't actually browsed too much on the reading material, but I'm actually looking at it now, and I haven't seen what it means.
Right, but you can ask actually. Okay, don't worry. Thank you very much. And what about principle 2? EE, I think you're the only one who choose this one.
Yes, Jen.
Yes.
Actually, all the principles are very essential, but among them, I choose principle 2 because when I look at the city, not my city is very, very small. I just, when I compare to the city, our like capital city in Yangon, it is really niche, really should be like, follow this principle to the city we need is affordable, accessible, and equitable. Because
Right.
you need the city plan in Yangon is they never think about for the like disabled person in the public area. Right. Yeah, and then also the inclusiveness for all of the people,
Right.
and
Right.
and some of the affordable places we also need to be considered for the slum people
Right.
to stay, and then also some of the place difficult to accessible for those people who are disabled, and then who are so very low income household people. So that is why I choose this principle too.
Right. And the governance and partnership because of the same
Yeah.
reason, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I
So
think
that
it
is-
go together quite well.
yeah.
Can I ask you, Klein, that this principle, it said that affordable, accessible, and equitable. In this principle, they talk a lot about the low income, right? The ones who's not in the mainstream. And do you have this problem too in your context?
What was it again, Arjan?
Because this principle, it said about, if we look through it, it said about the low income and the disadvantaged groups. Do you have a lot of these groups in your context?
Yeah. Actually, we really have also the problem of marginalization of communities where the poor people are overlooked in the policy making systems, and that they actually don't have much of a voice in the crafting of these solutions. And I think this is actually the main caveat that we should also try to understand in crafting policies, as we are also talking about policy systems here in this master's program, because the input of the people who are the subject of these policies are crucially as important as those that are immersed with the academe, who are actually detached with the struggles of the people. So I see it fit that that the marginalized or the poor community must have also a voice in the crafting of essential policies that may affect them in the first place.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to move to principle 3 from Yamin.
Yes, Ajahn. Yes, Ajahn. I choose the economic related principle and driver of change because from the standpoint of my native city is the largest city in the region, and the population is large compared with the other city in the regions, and also is the administrative seat of the district, and also it has a longest bridge in the city. Is a part of the Indian-Myanmar and Thailand trilateral highway. Compared to these characteristics, the economy of the city is not significantly born. And also there is a industrial zone in the city, but the economic sector of the city is not significant. So I would like to be growth in economy in our city, and also encourage the entrepreneurs and business in the informal sector to support the urbanization and also the urban growth of the city. Yeah.
I see. And economy and livelihood, you think that these two principle and driver of change goes together, right?
Sure, Etienne. Yes, go together, I think.
Okay. And now because we have passed like 3 persons, and what about the others? Can you just show your, I mean, your feeling when you read this? What do you feel? Not in a what is it? Not in a analytical term, just your feeling. You know, because sometimes when I ask how do you feel, it will be something very interesting to see. Sorry, who who want to answer this question? Very complicated, isn't it? Vicky Chu, do you want to answer?
Yes.
You read this?
Little bit. So when I looking at the principles, I saw the principle are very sound and solid, and it is very good principle. But I don't think there is principle that are really about the nature or protecting the environment, helping with climate change. This is only one of the thoughts when I'm reading the principles.
And you choose cohesive territorial development.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you find? Why do you choose this one?
Because back in Hong Kong, we have very serious housing problem. Because I think in last class when I'm doing assignments, I can saw from the satellite map that actually around 70% of the land in Hong Kong is quite undeveloped, like they are not planned to be used. So, and at the same time, the average living area in Hong Kong is quite small relatively.
I see.
And yeah, in some cases, like a flat of 13 meters square, it can be sold to around 2.6 million Hong Kong dollar, which would be around 40,000 US dollar.
Oh.
So you can see like a 13 meter square land could sell for 40,000 US dollar. And the advertisement or the promoting strategy of the property developer will say, oh, even the Chinese emperor only need a bed in his palace, and the flat is only for you to sleep. Same as the emperor in the Forbidden City. Yeah, this is their promoting strategy. But now, yeah, I think the government, because it was too negative, I think it gave a very negative impression. So the government started to have regulation on the minimum area of flats in Hong Kong. Yeah.
But Hong Kong may be one of the most dense city in the world.
Yes, and from data, we are very densely populated. But you even looking into like the population per district, it will be even higher the number, because we seen like the map before. Like you can imagine that like 7 million of people are living in like 30% of land in Hong Kong.
I see.
Yeah. So it was like a huge problem.
Yeah, thanks for your sharing your information. I think it's a very good opportunity for us to listen. And who else want to share your idea? I think we still have Jonathan, Colleen. Yes.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I come?
Yes.
Yes. I think I tend to differ on the principle number 4. The city need to be collectively managed and democratically governed. Yeah, I think quite all right. I do. I mean, agree. But to some extent, I also disagree because it also depends on the system of governance, which is in the city, right? You realize that sometimes if the system of system of governance which is applied is if the city is governed by the ruling party, right? You discover that most of the decisions which are made, they might be favoring the ruling party, who might be the majority in the city, in the city council. Yeah, because if it is democratically, it requires the equal opportunity. Now, if the system of governance which is applied, it's a certain city, is manned by majority ruling party, I think it might compromise. The principle.
You think the principle is too ideal?
Yeah, it also it's ideal, but it has got also its own connotation in terms of yes or no. Because these cities, if you are running a system of governance in which is a devolved system, right? You realize sometimes you choose the mayor, you choose the representative, right? Those who are representing the community. Now, if you discover that, yes, if you discover that the council or the city is manned by the ruling party as a majority in the city council, you discover them, they'll be favoring their political agenda against the collective majority.
I see. Okay. I don't know how to respond. I'm not sure that I get all of your idea. So have you chosen also the drivers of change? I mean, how to, because I think drivers of change is how to achieve that goal, that the principle, how to achieve the principle. I think they come together, 10 principle and 10 drivers of change. Have you chosen the drivers of change? Eugene? Not yet, right? Okay, now we are moving on the others. Who else want to share your ideas? Because I just want to, to draw your attention and to discuss. Yes, Apiel?
Yes.
And Silvia? Later, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Ajahn. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to share
Thank
my
you.
perspectives and idea. For me, I think the principle 4 is overarching. That's why I choose principle 4 in order to be a city which is sustainable and inclusive and healthy and safety. For me, by collectively managed, I feel that there will be a different entities and polity. I mean, not only just the polity or the political organization, but also, the individual experts in urban management and the general public and the NGO, INGO, CSO, and we can practice a types of collective governance, which kind of provide the platform for all the individuals and organization to be involved in the in the city management and the governance. And here I would like to back to defer with Eugene with his early statement. He mentioned that democratic governance would be a monopoly for the ruling political organization. However, in this case, I would like to mention that there are different types of democracy, and majority ruling does not solely mean the democratic system. So we can practice the democratic system that is much more deliberative and participatory. So there could be a democratic system in which the majority rule, but we also consider the minority perspective, their consensus, and we also value the perspectives and voices of the individual and the marginalized participants. So in such a way, the city could be deliberatively, democratically governed and managed. And through this, I believe that we can also achieve the other perspective, for example, healthy and safety and inclusive and affordable and equitable. Those kind of principles could also be achieved through the democratic, through the principle form.
I see.
And for the driver or chain, I also believe that all the driver of chains and principles are equally essentials and crucially important. However, I believe that education is the only sustainable and important driver to to ensure that we have the sustainable development in the city for the upcoming generation and for the economic development. I mean, we have been using education as a apparatus in order to improve the economic development. So so by choosing education as a driver or chain, we can also achieve the economic development and the other development. And in the document, it is mentioned that through education, we can also practice our citizen to be to practice the participatory method and democratic governance. So I believe that through education we also achieve it. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and in education, have you think about the something like lifelong education, or not in the system, because nowadays I think education in rooms or in classes, in formal education, maybe not enough, right? Maybe we need further, because when in Chiang Mai University, when we discuss about things, for example, I and Chan Phu working in the Learning City project of Chiang Mai. They have some words, lifelong education, come like so learning is not only learning in class, not only for students, but also for elderly, for the the other groups, the I forgot the name, the poor, or somebody who cannot access the system of education. So maybe in that sense, I think it will be very uplifting for the city. Thank you. So yes, so next one is Chiria, and then Jonathan, and someone else is raising your hand before. Okay, Chiria, please.
Yeah, yes, Ajahn. Actually, when I read the article, I feel like all of the principles or drivers are not separated; they are interrelated. If we want to fulfill the all 70 goals of the Sustainable Development Goals, that for me, the reason for choosing the principle 9, healthy and safe and well-being city, is because when I look at the city data, actually, the identified children mortality rate, that is called child mortality rate and maternal mortality rate, is really high in my city, in my region. That is why I choose this principle. I chose this principle. But when it comes to the driver, it is also really difficult to pick up just one. So I chose 2. This is the first in health and safety, and the other is government and partnership. So I feel like cities must recognize that health arises from the plurality of interactions, and they should really focus the health and safety as a fundamental issue, as a fundamental aim of development. And also, I feel like in my region, the government, actually the local government has no clear principles or the process when implementing the principles. So these two are important for my city, I think. Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you. Great. And then Jonathan?
Hello, Jen. So I also agree with Carrie.
Yes.
What she said, because like all the principal and drivers are interrelated. So just like a sustainable development goals. So even though we have a sustainable development goals, they are
Yes.
all interrelated.
I think so.
Yeah. But if we need to choose to address one issue at a time, I would choose that the city that we need is a work plan, walkable and transit friendly. So the reason I say this is because so in my city, all business centers are concentrated in other townships, especially in the downtown area. And then for my city, it is crowded with the private and public housing, and it's isolated from other townships. Therefore, like we have no space for private and public space to open in the area. In Principle 8, it talks about the mixed use. So I agree with that, and then I feel like we need to use our mixed use, and we need to adopt the participatory planning and letting all the stakeholders to participate in the planning, especially for the land use. And as for the driver, actually, I also applied to but I'm only going to mention one, which is the governance and partnership. And the decentralization is needed in order for the local governance to provide the leadership and vision for the area that I'm talking about. And the reason why I say we need a decentralization is because the local government, they cannot allocate the resource without the direct order from the central government. So in this case, it's because so that's why I mean we need a bottom-up approach. But in the article, it mentioned that the local government we must do the bottom-up approach. But in my case, the local government cannot do the bottom-up approach since they are very centralized. So they only take order from the central government. So the bottom-up approach must be taken by the must be led by the NGO, civil society, and the local stakeholder, and then they need to do the advocacy and open consultation to the local government and to the local government.
Thank you. That's great. Very good. I think a lot of ideas, and I really like when you share your ideas. We have different views, and then I think it's very good. Thank you very much indeed. And I think it's like 1 hour from 2. Actually, I think it will be like half an hour, but I think it's very fruitful. So I will move on to another section from. Thank you very much. And I stop sharing the whiteboard, right? I would like to go through those principles and the drivers again, but very roughly to pass through this, and then afterwards the last hour I would like to go further to the sustainable urbanism as to go further. But I think this article helped us a lot in this discussion, and I thank you very much for your participation, and I like it a lot. But for me, when I read it, I feel that it's so ideal, and it's like something very very beautiful, like something that on shelf. And so that's why I really like when you discuss to your situation, what happened, do you find any problems, or do you see any draw backwards of this principle? Because only from this morning, I attend another symposium, and it's from the research team about how to conserve and develop an old city, because in Thailand now we have the declare 36 cities as old cities, and also including Chiang Mai, and in the north, a lot in the north and in the northeast, some of in the northeast, some in the south, also of course in Bangkok and other part of Thailand. But we haven't go so far in terms of drivers of change. One thing I remember, because this morning I can only join the session of organization, they will talk about the monetary or budget and the law in the afternoon. So I cannot join the session. Only the organization, they talk about the committee. They said it's not possible for cities nowadays to have only one organization or one body to do everything in the city, because nobody understands or nobody have the knowledge enough of every sectors in the cities, because it involves so many things in city. So especially in the old cities, right? We need archaeologists, we need planners, architects, economists, sociologists. We need a lot of things. And then they said we should set up a committee. I have heard this for I'm not sure how many years, long time ago, and it's been setting in the law already that any old cities, including Chiang Mai, can set up that kind of committee to arrange, to organize the development, to conservation and development of the city, to make it like an ideal old city. But from that day until now, they still talk the same thing. It doesn't happen like what they suggest. They suggest something already in the law, already you can, we can do it, but I don't know why it doesn't happen. And somebody in the room said something the same. So maybe in the documents and real life, we have to compromise, we have to learn a lot, and you will be the urban thinker, right? In future, you will be the urban governments, or I don't know. You will be the person who will work with the city. So you will meet this kind of thing in future. So now we are going through those ideas. You have any question at the moment? Okay. I said that I will go through very fast about 10 largest cities in the world, because last time we talked about the size of the city, right? And I think 10 largest city in the world by population started from Japan, and it's the like 37 million people. So just just pass through very fast to see how big, so you can compare with your city. How big is your city comparing with Tokyo? But it's like metropolitan area, so the area is quite big actually, and the population is last year. It's almost beat the entire of Canada. If you read, you know, there are a lot of things to talk about this city, like Canada, you know, the whole country, almost like 37 or more, a bit more. The city may not stay at the top of this list for long. Some believe that Tokyo has reached peak urbanism, which means, you know, it's going large at its maximum size, something like that. Okay, this is number one. Number two, it's going to India, 29 millions of population. It's also one of the oldest cities in the entire world, Delhi. And I don't know, the old city can be the largest one as well. So there might be a lot of things happen in this kind of conurbation, right? The third one is Shanghai in China, and number of population is 26. In some people's eyes, Shanghai may even be considered the biggest city overall because it is the most populous city proper. If you remember, city proper is like, you know, one local organization system, right? As defined by the graphic limits to the city. This is Shanghai, how it looks. The next one, Sao Paulo in Brazil, 21 millions. And city is so vast. If you look at the bird eye view of the city, you see about hundreds or I don't know, non-stop of buildings. Including Mexico City. If you have been listened or heard about Mexico City, it's one of the most populated city in the world. Maybe of the geographic area of the city is surrounded by mountains, just like Chiang Mai. So it's the largest Spanish-speaking city. And actually it's found by, you know, one of the tribes, the Aztec. But nothing much has left. This is how it looks today. But I have heard from somebody who visit Mexico City. They said that the city is very beautiful. I don't know, in some sense, maybe it has some part of the old cities and then that part may look like people friendly. And then go to Cairo in Egypt, 20 million population. And this is how Cairo look nowadays. It's quite dense, isn't it? And then it's go to Dhaka of Bangladesh, 20 millions of people. Today, the city preserves architecture from its colonial and earliest time in history. I don't know how 20 million people stay in this kind of urban form. And then it goes to India again, Mumbai. And if you look at the forecast of the city in future, they said Mumbai will be one of the largest, you know, one of the top largest because it's growing and growing. It's not stopped yet, not like Tokyo. So a lot of things going on, this kind of cities. I like to visit one of them. And then Beijing. is quite big as well, 20 million people. Actually, it's center, it's the capital city and it's center of culture, finance, economics, business, science, technology, everything, and make it a cultural and financial hub of the city. This is the, the image they capture for Beijing, not the forbidden city. And then the last one is Osaka in Japan, 19 millions. So just, only go through for us to have an idea that how big cities perform. And then we are going to the city we need. I really like when you talk about the principle and the drivers of change. I think many of you understand well, but we will go through and then we'll go to another session very soon. You have already shared your choice, so we go through the principle for the new urban paradigm. The first one is socially inclusive and engaging. So as you said, it's people-centered, ethical, just, and it said right to the city for all. I like to talk about some of the words later if I catch up here. Eliminates all physical and spatial forms of segregation. When you talk about inclusive, you see it said physical and spatial forms of segregation. So they said that, if you are physically segregated, you will be socially segregated as well. So I think this should be kept in mind. I think it's a very good observation. And it said it embraced cultural diversity. So I think it's quite important when you said socially inclusive, you mean every stakeholders of the city who has different cultural background, and so you need to be open-minded a lot to welcome all of those diversity. And it's also not only different ethnic groups and also age groups and population, any groups of population to partake in the social and cultural life. And it said you should foster a culture of solidarity through processes such as community consultation, community contracting, and participatory budgeting. So participatory is a very important issue. Why there is no a city from the US, the third largest population in the world. Colin, you want to speak up? Sorry, I just read.
Not many. Yeah, not many. just thinking about that. Why there's no cities, even though they have the largest population. Maybe it is about their population densities or something like this, or
because the American cities are very vast. You know what I mean? It's not dense. It's like spread all over. Only at the center. This is my feeling. I haven't looked much through the built-up area of those cities, but I've been to one of the American cities, which is Hawaii, and I found that the city is separated from each other. You cannot walk. So if you said walkable, you cannot use with the American cities at all. Of all the students who study in the United States that I know, Thai students who study in the United States, they have to buy cars. They have to go places by cars. They cannot rely on like walking, cycling, or public transport at all. and all the students that I know study in Europe, especially in United Kingdom, where I was a student there. Nobody buy a car. Everybody can rely on, walk or buses or trains, public transport. So I think maybe the US cities, when they are not compact, they cannot be so many people stay in one place. I think maybe they are like, because they have quite a big land, right? So they separate, and then they have a lot of urban sprawl problem. When we talk about urban sprawl last time, all the image are from American cities.
I want to discuss something about about the urban center of the countries. So for example, in my country, Rangoon and Mandalay are the two biggest cities, and
right?
They are also the two biggest urban center. I mean, Mandalay for the upper Myanmar and Rangoon for the lower Myanmar. So
Right.
also for being like this, Ho Chi Minh cities and Hanoi and
Right.
Ho Chi Minh is at the southern center, southern
Right.
center of the urban cities, and Hanoi is the center of the north. So I think it is also about how they decide when they, when they think about their stifle urbanization, something like this. In the US, I think you have Eastern Coast and the Western Coast, and these are
Right.
the two key areas of development. Then the ANA area. At the same
So
time, they also have big cities on almost everywhere like this.
right.
So this
So
is there's just no large population density like this.
So if you are interested, you just can click into your telephone, or I don't know if you have any other tablets, you can just click in. I think New York, maybe from the east side, and I don't know what the other big cities for San Francisco and probably LA for the west, something like this. You can click and see how large is the city by population, and then you can share. If you have information, you can share with the class. Thank you very much. So we go through the principle again, and this, it said it should foster a culture of solidarity. I like the word culture of solidarity through the process, and not only the product is important now, the process is important, right? And the second principle, affordable, accessible, and equitable. Some of you chose this one, and it's been said that resources are distributed equitably and opportunities are available for all. So when they said all, it means all groups of people, of the inhabitants, including the low income and disadvantaged group. It's go to like land, infrastructure, housing, transport, and basic services are planned and operate with special attention to improve access by women. Women is one group of the disadvantaged group in many cities, in many countries. And it's still, in Thailand, even though it's not so clear that this is the case, but I think it's still the case also in Thailand. So public services are designed with the participation of communities. When you talk about accessibility, equitable So, you know, the participation is one of the tools that we cannot ignore. Its inhabitants are co-owners of public space. I think this one is quite important, that if we think that all the inhabitants are the owner of the public space, it means everybody needs to be able to use this public space. But if you think about this, what do you think that the skateboard people, when they use the in Chiang Mai, if you have time, you can go to the Three Kings Institute Plaza and you look around that one, the skateboard people, they like that area a lot, but then they, you know, that's the public space, right? But through this principle, they should be able to use it. But when they use it, they use the stairs to the statue to to be like a springboard of their skateboard. Do you know what I mean? So, and they make that stairs like deterioration. So I don't know that, you know, we need to be like this ideal, and we also need some regulation to use, right? If you not agree, please say something or we can discuss. I like that. Sapio, you raised your hand. Would you like to say something?
Ajahn, thank you so much. I'm not trying to disagree with you, but I just want to share my feeling and want to ask you one question.
Okay.
So when you explain about the public space in the city should be co-owner of all the residents, I feel like that was really contradictory with our country. In the case of, you know, Yangon.
Right.
So before the civilian government came into power in 2011, we are under the military regime, as we are now. And the military, you know, they're trying to closely collaborate with their relative or their proxy company in order to illegally hand over the public space for their private interests. You know, they will hand over the public space to a proxy company, and the crony or like the proxy company would, you know, get the management of the land for more than, you know, several decades, and then and they were trying to implement projects that kind of enhance their private interest or financial income. And I have one question about that principle. You know, the public space should be co-owned by the residents. I agree with that principle, and I also believe that it should be that way. And my question is, you know, how much % of a particular territory should be the public space? You know, let's say, for example, we have, you know, CDA, and how much percentage of the CDA should be designed as public space for the livelihood or well-being of the residents, or for the, you know, for you know, the other perspective, you know, participation, or like for leisure or the other activities. So from the architectural perspective or other management view or point, how do you think, you know, how much percentage of the city should be a public space?
This is the issue of like urban planning and urban design, right? Because when you talk about the old cities, I mean the cities that have been not built, populated long time ago, and they start from a small communities and then go bigger and bigger, and each country and each regions have their own spatial arrangement. So if it's new, it's been said like we used to have open space at least 20 to 25% for the people, something like that. But if it's all, we are not able to say like totally it should have like this. But in terms of standard, they have a open space or green space for one population. For example, 6 meters, 6 square meters for one person in the city is a number, if I'm not wrong, from the international standard. But if you use these with, for example, Hong Kong will be like, impossible to receive this. So, it's needs to be adapt to to each context. Do I answer your question? And Eugene, I saw you raise your hand, right? Would you like to say something? Eugene.
Well,
Roland, sorry.
okay, yeah. So in addition to what you said, I think there are some public spaces today that are poorly managed. There is mismanagement of a lot of public spaces today, and I'm talking from the point of view of developing countries of the world. We go to many popular cities in Africa, Lagos, Ibadan, Calabar, Cairo, and so many, Accra. We go to these cities, urban spaces, and we see that so many public spaces are mismanaged, and that is why the governments have introduced policies in which the private sectors need to come in to manage these public spaces in order to keep them functioning for the benefits of the people. So I feel it depends on the government of a country that determine the management of their public spaces, because some governments have difficulties managing these public spaces. We see a lot of these public spaces fading away, and that is why the public sectors need to come in order to take ownership of these public spaces. In Nigeria, for example, that was done. There was the introduction of privatization of a lot of public spaces in Nigeria because the government was having difficulties managing these spaces. So the private sectors had to come in. And this also created, had a lot of implication on the local people because there was increased taxation. People had to be heavily taxed because these public spaces had to be maintained by the private sectors.
Right. There are a lot of things. For example, some of the private land can be public space because when we talk about the definition of public space is it can be accessed by the public. Sometimes it's owned by the private. For example, in Chiang Mai, in front of Maya department store, that's area plaza in front of the building. Actually, it's private owned, but it can be used by public, right? Because it's accessed by public. So sometimes there are a lot of things to consider when you talk about public spaces. Thank you very much. Thank you for your input. So I just like to add that in the principle it said in the growing cities, sometimes we need to resettlement, they said resettlement of community sometimes needs to be because to bring more, to minimize disruption to people's livelihood and their social network and relations. For example, in Chiang Mai, maybe we will walk to the area sometimes. along the Mekha Canal. At first, you know, the Mekha Canal is along the old city wall, a regular form of the old city wall of Chiang Mai, and it's been an area of the poor who stay there for a long time, and then it's, you know, from the history, they change groups of people to still to the poor, but the other groups, because lately Chiang Mai has become one of the place with all the immigrants to Chiang Mai city to work, you know, as a labor in Chiang Mai city. There are a lot of them, so they stay in this area instead of the urban poor from Chiang Mai city in the past. And this area has a lot of problems, and now the local government municipality has a project to resettlement because they want to make the access along the canal. At first it's like a very small dirt walkway along the canal, and the canal is dirty with a lot of wastewater and sometimes garbage and whatever. So they want to make the city and the canal clean, and they started from like 750 meters first, and that one makes quite a very good example of this kind of resettlement, because the housing along the canal needs to be reconsidered, because some of them, like, you know, in the illegal area, some in the canal, which is the one of the heritage of Chiang Mai. You know, it has been listed because it's along the city wall. So some is in the city wall area, some is the canal area. So in terms of legal, they are illegal, but they stay there for quite a long time, and something like this. So I think it makes a good point for us to aware that sometimes we need to resettlement the community too. And the third principle is economically vibrant and inclusive. So some of you also choose this one. It encourages and fosters local economic development from the smallest entrepreneur to the largest corporations. So if you think of what you have learned from the sustainable development goal and also these principles, and also you said that it's all connected. I agree. And you know, when they talk about economic vibrant, they also talk about the equality, you know, the access for all, something like that. So just stress in a different way. So small entrepreneur and largest corporation are included in this principle. I like to ask you to think about this word. Do you know informal sector? Yes or no? Do you know what is the informal sector?
Yeah, so do you mean like do you mean informal sector like a private small scale businesses?
Small
I think
scale, rare, yes.
I
Colin?
think informal sector, I think we mostly refer to the satellite, which is not legally permitted or legally documented under the government intervention, whether
Right.
it is private or public. Like in Myanmar, we have informal economy, which is even bigger than the formal economy.
Yes, yes, yes. Not register, not only small. Small is one of the characteristic, but not only small, but they are not, you know, like not register. They are they are not in the system. For example, the people who sells food or fruits on the sidewalk, for example, they are not registered anywhere as a merchant, right? They are not in the tax system of the business, or some of the labor, day by day labor that they, sometimes they don't want to work, they just stay. But when they want to work, they go to, in Chiang Mai, they have a place, that day by day labor, they can go to the place and then wait. And then some people will come, if they want like labor for, I don't know, gardening or for construction sites, they will come to this area and say, okay, 5%, and then go. So I think they are informal sectors because they are not registered, something like that, and they are small. But some of the small business, if they are registered, they are in the system, they can be a formal one. Okay. So the role and potential of the share economy, that's one word. As I said, when they talk about economy, they talk about share economy, which means, share wealth, share everything. Not only one person will be more wealthier than the rest of the people. So they said, it will be very good if you share wealth, something like that. So do you understand this word? Okay. Number 4, collective managed and democratically governed. I think your friend has already explained about this quite good. So it said promotes effective partnerships and active engagement by all members of society and partners. So come again, you see, all partners, public, private, and civil society. I think these are the 3 key partners in the cities, right? Public, which mean the governmental offices, and private non-governmental offices, and civil society, which means, the non-profit organization. And I like to point another word to you. Do you know a word sense of community? It said this one will cultivate a strong sense of community. I think this is a very good point to talk. Do you understand sense of community and strong sense of community?
Yes,
Yes.
Ajahn. Okay. Who will go first?
Yes. Bye.
Okay. I think it refers to the to the notion of belongingness that a certain member of the community might feel when he or she is included in the group. And
Right.
the meaning to which a person it cultivates a strong sense of community is that it is somewhat similar to having a cohesive sense of identity that one experiences or one is equipped to when he identifies himself as part of being in the community.
Okay. And Sapio said feeling of being part of the community. Is it a good or bad thing to feel that you are a part of the community? Yi? Is it a good or bad thing?
Yeah, it is good things because we need to be considered for
Right.
the sense of all of inclusiveness of all of the inhabitants.
Right. When you feel that you are a part of the community, what benefit that you have?
We can raise the voice what our communities are feeling and what our community want to become our city development or something like that. For our,
Right.
like I said, education,
Right.
health, etc. Yeah.
Right. Do you feel one of your community?
Yes, I am.
Yes. And Clyde, do you feel that you are one of your community?
Yeah, I do, Ajan.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
I I also want to mention how about the dark side? How about the dark side of being a strong communities? Like
Right.
something like when we have a strong sense of community, we used to feel similar sense to each other, and
Right.
it can also lead to nepotism,
Right.
favor to rather than marriage, we used to favor to our parents in same community, and it could also lead to correlations and other kind of things. Maybe
Right.
it is some more, but it is also the dark side. There's also the dark side.
Right. Because if you are a strong part of the community, you have, like communal society, right? So you don't have much privacy of your own. You cannot have your own style of dressing, hair styling, or I don't know,
Yeah.
use your
Yeah.
spare time, right? So I think that's true. But in cities, they said you feel in a good city, you feel comfortable in with the strangers. So it said you have solidarity in big cities. You have solidarity, and they call organic solidarity in terms of Emile Durkheim, as I know. In the small community, you have not organic, you have mechanical solidarity. So everybody think the same, do the same thing, and not different from each other. But in big cities, you can have organic solidarity if you have a very good system. You respect the others of their differences, but then you still can be together, and you're not just ignore when your city have problems. So you feel like you will, so it's like a level of sense of community, and it's a different levels of community as well. Okay. Without it, we cannot move into the development of the cities, which is contributed by different individuals. So Pierre and Interior, too much strong sense of community sometimes can lead to nationalism, and then, exactly. Great.
Hello, can I add something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that a strong sense of community also have downsides because, for
Right.
instance, when you have this strong cohesion that you feel towards your community, it tends to close opportunities of being influenced by other external factors, and this is very true, especially in this age where there is a heightened, as stated by
Right.
Roland, cultural diffusion and globalization, where there is a cultural permeatedness between different cultures. Like in the Philippines, we are influenced by Thai BLs or Korean novellas, and then if you have this sense of community, you would tend to diffract them, to detach
Right.
yourself from other
Right.
global influences, and this isn't good economically or culturally in this heightened age of globalization.
Right. And Roland raised a very interesting question, that can we really have a sense of belonging in a city? I think for me, in a city, the city consists of neighborhoods. So even even though you're in a city, for example, Chiang Mai, is if you look from the outside, it's not small, isn't it? It's quite a big city as well, or at least moderate city. But it divides into like neighborhoods, a lot of neighborhoods in Chiang Mai. So you feel be part of your neighborhoods, which is part of the city. So I don't know. I think we still can feel a sense of the city. I think I have a strong sense of the. I feel that Chiang Mai is my city, my hometown. And if there is something that I can do to make Chiang Mai a better place, I will do. Even though it's not in my neighborhood. So for myself, I have like different levels of sense of community. In my community that I stay, I have just started to feel that I am a part of it because maybe I moved in. My husband stay in this neighborhood, and then I moved in later on, and I didn't have much activities with the others member of the neighborhoods, but I have activities with the other active citizens in Chiang Mai. So I feel that I'm, belong to Chiang Mai city. I don't know. For me, I think we can. Okay, now we move on. And as we said, the people who are in the group that left behind, and the women again has been said that women fulfill their respective communities and strengthen their participation in urban and local decision making. So we need to recognize that the important roles that actually women also fulfill their respective communities and strengthens their participation in urban and local decision making. And number 5, foster cohesive territorial development. I think some of our friends chose this one, right? And this is talking about the territory again. Coordination sectoral policies and actions such as economy, mobility, housing, biodiversity, energy, water, and waste within a comprehensive, coherent territorial framework, which means territory, or when we define a city, can come to this subject. Actively seeks cross-sectoral coordination and cooperation, and promotes mutually beneficial and environmental sound linkage between rural and urban areas. So when we talk about territory, maybe urban and rural comes to the surface, and it needs to be not only different groups of stakeholders, but also different area. For example, urban and rural. And it should encourage cohesive territorial development to avoid urban sprawl. If you remember, we still should and preserve natural resources. So it's like when we talk about this principle, we also talk about the other principle at the same time. Recommend inter-municipal cooperation to achieve economies of scale and agglomeration, optimize use of resources, and prevent unhealthy competition among local authorities and other public agencies. Do you know economy of scales? This one mean, each municipality cannot work by itself, by themselves, because actually those municipalities are connected, are adjacent to each other, so they need to work together and to achieve economies of scale. Do you know that word? What does it mean? Nobody want to discuss about this word? When you talk about economy of scale, it's mean that some activities or some let's say activities can be very very efficient, very effective when they have a proper scale. For example, you know, when we go to the market in Thailand, there are a lot of golden shops, the shops which sells gold. And do you wonder why there are a lot of them in the Chinatown, for example? Why there are a lot of the same goods in one area? You know, can you answer this? Or in Bangkok, there are a lot of this kind of thing, or like district, some we can call a district or a, that they sell something the same. Electric applicants, for example, in one area, a lot of shops. Can you find in your context? E, do you have this in Yangon? In Bangkok, we have a lot.
Yes, in Yangon, yes, some places they say a lot in the area of some of the like Chinatown,
right?
And then some like the people who are in the Indian community,
right?
Yeah,
right. Do you know? Yeah, and do you wonder why they sell the same things in, you know, very close to each other? Do you wonder that they will like chasing same customers, or you know, they are competing each other, or they're fighting for their customer? Why they stay in the same place?
Like people want to buy some like specific things. They can look for the around there, and they can compete. They can compare the prices,
right,
from the sellers.
right.
So
yeah,
economies of scale is some of the advantages gained from increasing the production, and they make a lowering their costs.
exactly.
Maybe
right, right. Because when they are close together, for the customer, for us, when we want to buy these kind of things, we just go to one place, and it's very good for us to just hop on and off to see the price or the products that we really like to have, right? So that's called economies of scale. When you are isolated and you offer your own products, and if customer come and they don't like it, so they don't have other place to compare. So this kind of thing, the one who stay, you know, isolated will be less in business. They will have business lower than the one who stick together, and it's called economies of scale. But in some cases, of course, if the number of customer is small, but you have a lot of shops in one place, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
For one village like far away, and they need only one grocery shop, and that's enough. if the next grocery shop put up near each other, so they will have like half and half. Instead of better, they will have lower economy or business, something like this. So it's mean advantageous when they growing large in number and stick together, something like that. Okay, I hope I explained good enough. So that's why they recommend that, you know, municipality need to work to each other. And then number 6, we go to number 10, and then we will have a break. Okay. Wait, we have a break. Generative and resilient, designed to be resilient, continuously assessing risks and building the capacities of local stakeholders, individuals, and communities to prepare for, absorb, recover from, and learn from acute shocks and chronic stress, both natural and anthropogenic. So I just like to stress, like, you know, design, not resilience is something that you can tolerate in different situations, right? Resilient. So it's not only assessing risk, but it's also building the capacities of local stakeholders. I think it's a very good word that, you know, resilience is assessing risk, but also building the capacities of the local stakeholders. And it said about, you know, we need to think about renewable energy sources, and it should support ecosystem restoration and the city and regional food system. You see, when you talk about resilience, they're also talking about food system. So it will connect to the other principle as well. And the next word that I like to talk with you is the carrying capacity. Have we talked about this before? Yes, carrying capacity. This word, yes, Klein, right? We have talked about this before. Oops, sorry. Have we? Do you know this word?
Hello, John. Do you mean carrying capacities?
Yes. Have we talked about this in the class before?
I actually haven't. I cannot recall us talking about carrying capacities.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just asked. Do you know the word?
Carrying capacities. I think it is the amount of resources that a certain place or a certain community has, and of course there is also limitations or the attributing scarcity that is that corresponds to the notion of carrying capacities. I'm not actually sure. I'm not actually sure on how I defined it. Maybe you can provide further elaboration on this one, Ajahn.
What about the others? Do you know this word, carrying capacity?
Yes, can I come in?
Yes, please.
Yes, the carrying capacity, I will talk about in terms of animal science, right?
Sorry?
The carrying capacity, I'll explain it in terms of animals.
I'm sorry, I don't catch all of what you said. Can you type?
Yeah, what I'm saying, the question you're asking is, what's the meaning of carrying capacity, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yes, now, I'm trying to explain in context of animal science.
Right.
Right? It's the number of, a carrying capacity, we are talking about the number of animals on which the land is able to support at a given point in time.
That's great.
Yes.
Actually, it's mean the capacity, you know, the capacity is the main word, right? Which that's mean the capacity that that thing can carry. That's it. So your example is
Oh,
good.
hello,
Capacity
Jan.
of land, yes.
I would want to provide clarification of what I stated earlier. I said that it is about the resources, but upon further research, I found out that it's about the average population size existing in a particular habitat. So it talks about the population rather than what I stated earlier, that I talk about the amount of resources that is evident or that exists in a certain particular context or in a certain society. It's about the population size. I'm so sorry.
Actually, it's not only population size, but if you talk about population size, maybe it's like as Lauren said, that it's the capacity of that area that can carry good conditions of the people. You know, whatever it is. So if you talk about carrying capacity of the oxygen emission, for example, it's mean that the world can absorb only this amount of not oxygen, this amount of carbon dioxide emission. If it's exceed that number, the world cannot absorb it, something like that. So the maximum capacity of that unit in that sense. It used a lot when you talk about the tourism, because in nowadays, you know, especially in Thailand after the COVID, they said during the COVID time, a lot of islands in the south of Thailand has a better quality of water, or the scenic area, and everything is much better, because before they're receiving more people to the island than their carrying capacity, which sometimes means, like, you know, the capacity to waste management. For example, you can only manage waste for 1 kilometers, but if you receive more tourists, the tourists come with like 100 kilometers per day. So that means it's exceed the carrying capacity of the island to manage waste. For example, like this, is okay for you? Yes, Yi. Okay.
Then it means the extent of the city, including the cities, means who are living in that place, and then also including the environment and infrastructure.
Right. In any kind of criteria, waste management, or good water supply, or air pollution, emission, something like this, anything. If you put that criteria and then you said you need to have this amount of input, if you have more input, you will have problem because it exceeds the carrying capacity of in that area. Okay. So it said the new urban agenda should call on cities to plan and provide infrastructure and incentive for industry to prosper in the circular economy, and to implement sustainable production and consumption patterns. You know, they talk about production and consumption patterns, And they said plan and provide for infrastructures. I hope you understand this word. So we move on and we will have a break very soon. I don't think I will have time to go through the second slide. We will talk about it later on. So number 7 is share identity and sense of place. To my surprise, I am in the area of sense of place, and my research interesting in this subject. And you know, this principle also give importance to the identities and sense of place of the city. So I hope you come to this quantitative characteristic of the city, okay? Qualitative, sorry. It should develop local solution to urban challenge through the use of local culture and heritage. So it talks about culture, heritage, local skills, and local knowledge. It should foster a strong sense of place and sense of community. I think it's has something similar. Do I need to talk about the word sense of place again, or you are okay? It comes with sense of belonging again. Do any of you have to need to talk about the word? We are okay. Okay, that's great. So we move on. And we should recognize culture as a key to human dignity, right? And values diversities as a source of creativity, growth, and learning in a knowledge economy. I really like this one. If I have to choose, I will choose this one because it's my subject, and I think not so many people give importance to the identities and sense of place of the city. I think it's quite important, especially for the old city, because the new developments sometimes do not compatible with what the heritage we have before. It sometimes built and destroy the old values of the heritage or of the city. And it's key to human dignity and values diversity as a source of creativity, growth, and learning in a knowledge economy. Human beings are connected to places via their sense. So they said the city needs to cooperate sense of place, or you know, how people sense the environment. So it's one of the major subject as well. And it said heritage celebrates the rapidly evolving nature of most modern cities, as it cherishes the value of indigenous knowledge, culture, and perspectives. I just put it here, this phrase, because I like to stress that, you know, when we talk about sense of place or identities, it doesn't mean that it stick with the old characteristic. It said heritage also celebrates the rapidly evolving nature of most modern cities, because it, you know, it makes values of the indigenous knowledge and culture. Okay. So we should recognize that the importance and role of art. You see, we talk about soft power in this sense of place and art in creating uniquely distinguishable and aesthetically pleasing places that different forms and means of expression all have a place in the city. So we can also use this kind of soft power in the city to, you know, the sense of the city, or art in the city can make sense of place. And number 8, well-planned, walkable, and transit-friendly city. So I think this one is also quite important. It adopts integrated planning to meet present and future needs for land, housing, infrastructure, and services. So well-planned and walkable and transit-friendly, as probably we talked about this before, and it adopts participatory planning, again, by bringing on board the empowering all stakeholders in development of its plan and building codes. So it's not the plan and codes that, you know, plan from the only professional, but it's from the grassroots or bottom-up process. And the city should be compact, where accessibility is supported by a fine-grained block and street network. I hope you understand fine-grained, which means small blocks. And providing amenities and service with a mix of uses and size. Okay, so mixed use come to walkable area as well. So it has efficient and affordable mobility system, which means, you know, more mobility system or transportation system that guarantee the right to mobility for all and equitable access to workplace, places of worship and recreation, culture, and services. So every kind of activities in the city should be accessible for all. Number 9. Okay, respective plan in a flexible manner. So it said that when you have a plan, we will talk about the planning system again, I think in the latter part of the term. So we move on to number 9, safe, healthy, and promotes well-being. So cities should be free from violence, conflict, and crime. This is the ideal of the city, but many cities are not free from violence, conflict, and crime. So it should foster a culture of peace by working together with all stakeholder groups in organizing intergenerational, intercultural dialogue and events to promote understanding, tolerance, and communication. So, you know, work together, communicate together, and don't left anybody behind. And to my surprise, you know, they said promote sports among its inhabitants and provide public space for recreation with special attention to people with specific needs. So sports, you know, of course, come with health, right? And should recognize health as a fundamental aim of development. And we should recognize the critical role of the determinants of health and reduce air, water, soil, and noise pollution. So health also, you know, relate to these topics, and ensure safe drinking water, adequate sanitation, and decent shelter. So everything include. Number 10, learns and innovates. I also like this one. It said city is a laboratory for experimenting with alternative scenarios for the future. So cities are changing, you know, and changing all the time. So we need to have like continuous learning and reflecting and more flexible planning and decision making. So every plan needs to be changed, adaptive to the future, to the change of the situation. So it doesn't have like, you know, one plan for forever. In Thailand, the comprehensive plan will change every 5 years to, they have like the long-term 20 years scenario but then every 5 years they will come to revise. And Chiang Mai is now in the revision, the 4th revision of the city plan. Okay, thank you, Lowlands. So it should open itself to new ideas, experiments, and innovations. And it should recognize the importance of overcoming the digital divide to enable all of its inhabitants to take advantage of the cities as the open platform and a collaborative space. Okay, now I think we need to stop for a while. And they said it used system thinking to understand urban complexity and the sources of unintended policy and consequence. So sometimes, something happened, we don't know, so we need to think and understand it. Okay, thank you. So I think we can have a short break, not more than 10 minutes, but if you can come in 5 minutes, I will be cheer. But 10 minutes is fine because we have been here for quite long, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much. See you again. We will meet in 5 to 10 minutes. Let's see how it goes. Cheers. Hello, I think it's been a long hours. Maybe, sorry. We will go through the last half an hour, and then I might ask you to write down what you have chosen, and I ask you to analyze with your city, right? But we have no choices to present it in class because I think we won't have enough time. And for the sustainable urbanism, I will talk about it. I will meet you again, I think, after the midterm. But next class, I will also be in because Ajahn Poo will have a special lecture, which he will talk to you soon. And so could you write only one page, of what you have said? The people who have said something about your city is fine, something like that. Only write something that why you choose these principles and why you choose these drivers of change, and then just say it with in the context of the city you have chosen. And you can say anything, whether it's good for your city to have this or whether it has the dark side, as you said, something that is not good, that in your opinion can be improved, something like that. Just if you want to put photographs, maps, it's okay. If you don't want, it's okay. You can just write something, talk about this, okay? One page is fine for me. We have to say it in words, right? I haven't thought about words yet. 1,000 words probably. I'm not sure. I will tell you again. So because normally the abstract is like 300 words, I think like 3 paragraph is 3 abstract. So 1,000 words, something like that will be fine.
So we are sorry. So we are going to write 1,000 word, right? Because usually 1,000 word is around 2 pages. So it's 1,000 word, right?
Really?
So
because I remember the abstract will go through from like 150 words to 300 words. The abstract of a paper. And I think it's 1 paragraph. So 2 paragraph is 600, 3 paragraph is 900.
Okay, around 900 word. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes the layouts can affect. Yeah.
It depends. Maybe if you put like space, a lot of space, it might be 2 pages. Like 900 to 1,000 words. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Single is okay. Single or 1.5 space. So I put words instead of page. Much better, I think. Short article. I think it's an expression. Actually, it's only an expression, right? Expression is, oh, I don't know how to express. EX, isn't it? How can you pronounce expression or ES? Expression. Expression. Okay. Short. Actually, it's not an article for me. It's like expression, but use that kind of idea to express yourself with your own context. Some of you have already said something. I think that one is fine. Just put it in words for me. Thank you very much. And now we yes.
Since we are going to use the article that you said you sent to us, do we need to cite that article?
If you would like to,
okay,
it would be great. I think by the end of the term, Ajahn Poo might like to ask to do something about the city that you have chosen. So it's like, as I said, layers of information for you. If you like to cite, it's fine. Thank you very much. If you don't want, it's okay. For this one, I just want a simple expression, of what you think about the principle and the drive of change in the context of yourself. But if you want to make it like a formal article, I am welcome. It's fine. Thank you very much. But if you don't want, it's okay. I don't mind for this one. Yes,
when is the
Shirin?
sorry? When is the deadline, Jan?
Sorry?
When is the deadline? I mean,
The deadline. Is it 1 week? Is it okay? Next Thursday, is it okay for you?
yes, Jan, yes.
Okay. Okay. Next.
Yes, Ajahn, I want to clarify one thing. That is, we have to pick one principle, or we have to consider all principles and all drivers or change.
Sorry?
I mean, do we need to pick just one principle and just one driver or change,
No.
or do we need to consider all
No,
principles?
not only one. Not only one. I said at least one.
I
You
see.
you can choose many.
Yes, Ajahn.
Many
Thank you.
principles and many drives for change. It really depends on how you like to see. And if you think it's related and you like to draw some points, it's fine. Thank you. That's great, I think. Okay, good. So now we are going towards the end of the only the drivers, I think when you talk about it, I think you understand it quite well. I just want to put some words and then discuss it with you, because I think
Hello, Ajahn.
Yes.
I have a follow-up question. Where could we possibly submit our papers?
Through my email. Do you have my email?
Okay. Got it, Ajahn.
Okay, thank you. So we are now moved to the drivers of change. I think that's the aims, or the ideal characteristic or situation that we would like our city to be, and then the drivers of change means the means or the way to go forward to have that kind of, to go to that kind of ideal characteristic we want. So at first it talked about governance and partnership, and it said local governments are institutional drivers of city development. So, local governments come at the very beginning of the thing. As I told you that we work in the Learning City project, and it's also the one of the UNESCO criteria for the cities, that if they have like Learning Cities network. And one of the things, one of the first criteria that it said local governments embrace this kind of project and agree and also be active, and actually they are the one who will do anything about the city. So it's quite important for the local government to understand its roles and, you know, to drive the city forward. But not all of the city government know, not all of them know this role. Maybe they will just like, you know, daily routine, they don't push the city to go forward because it's more difficult, I think. But also the national government has a role as well, is to define and provide national policies, frameworks, and legislation. National government should also empower and allocate resources to local authorities commensurate. So, you know, national government also have a role to distribute all the resource to the local governments. And the local governments should use all possible means of interaction. So it points to the means of interaction, which means, you know, you need to communicate with private and non-governmental actors and their inhabitants towards the definition, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation of policies, strategies, and plans. So if you want to do anything, you need to incorporate people and you need to interact, to talk with them, to communicate with them. And these processes engage, raising awareness and build a sense of community. So sense of community come back again, and it's a very important rules or issue to have. So I think there are a lot of techniques to make people to have this kind of, you know, have of sense of community. If people have sense of community, they belong to the community, they will not ignore the problems. When they see the trash on the street, they will pick it up, something like this. They don't just ignore it. It's none of my business, not in my backyard, right? So they will say, okay, this is my backyard, I have to look after it. And in all the governance, you know, they said that sense of community is a very important tool for city. And in the neighborhoods and small scale mobilization processes can be powerful catalysts for social engagement, especially through the use of culture, art, and sport. So neighborhoods become very important again, and, you know, the term soft power of culture, art, and sport are also the issue. So if you see, you know, in my neighborhood, they have a group of exercise, a women group to exercise, and they ask the support from the municipality, and the municipality gives some money to ask the, what is it, not tutor, to ask the leader of the sport, of the yoga or dance or something to be leader of the group, and women came together and exercise. So that kind of thing, you know, it's very good for the community, and it have a very strong bond amongst the people who engage in the activities. Prioritization of the public goods over private interests, and this one is very important as well. So we need to give importance to public over private interests, and it will be better in many terms. Planning and design. Urban planning and design are cornerstones of the city we need. So not only local government take important part, so it has to plan and design well. Successful implementation of urban planning require strong leadership and political will, and should be achieved through the appropriate partnerships involving all relevant stakeholders. So strong leadership and political will. So, you know, we need to, I hope you heard about the canal Cheonggyecheon in Seoul. You know, before that they have a canal run through the city, and then gradually within the development process, they build road and also the bypass overhead bypass through that area. And the municipality talk to the people, at least they have a meeting at least 4,000 times. But at the end, they brought back the canals, and that's a very, very impressive example. You can read at the story if you haven't heard of it before. You can read about it, and it's very good that, you know. So we have a strong leadership because the municipality has a very strong leadership and political will to do it, because he's the one who's the people of Seoul, and he really wants. I think this also happens in one of the other cities. I cannot think of. If I think of, I will give it to you later. Okay. My brain is not well functioned at the moment. So approach to planning and design should drive development to achieve well-being in the city we need. So well-being, and you know, it's one of the things. Placemaking and urban design can effectively contribute to social and economic inclusion. So urban designs come very important. And now again, you know, sense of place again become an important issue that placemaking and urban design should look into and try to make it. Public space plays a central role in the city we need to address the principle of inclusion, engagement, identity, and well-being. So, you know, it's a physical space, public space, but it includes everything. It includes the feeling of inclusion, engagement, and it also can identify the area. It can be the identity of the area, and it also connected with the well-being, because, you know, people need to use the public space, especially in the big cities. If you are in Europe, in big cities in Europe, you will know that, you know, because people live in flats, if they are in their flats all the time, they will be mad. So they need to come out to plazas, to parks, to playgrounds or whatever. So public space become very important in big cities. The amount and quality of walkable areas is essential to promote healthy behavior. So when you plan, you know, we are talking to the health, right? And when we plan, so we need to think about that. And walkable areas is important too. So it's connect to many things. Strategic areas in the city should be identified and planned to foster social cohesion and to prevent spatial fragmentation. As I said before, that spatial fragmentation also brings social fragmentation. So if we can design space that include everybody, we call it social cohesion or social inclusive, it will help a lot. So this is the relationship between spatial and social function of the place. And finance, the effective finance and funding models is a prerequisite. So it needs to have this before before we go to another, any kind of success. So the transparent and predictable system of the grants and subsidies is needed. Equitable distribution, as I said before, national government not only allocate budgets, but allocate them, equitable distribution to the area. So it makes equality. Local authority needs to be adequately equipped and trained to access development credit. So I hope you understand this. I mean, development credit is a kind of, you are in the development. I think it's in the development criteria, and then it's like the one kind of evaluation to put, like, you have this, if you do this, you will have this development credit, and you will gain something more, something like that. And cities must work together with regional and central government. So it's not possible for city to work only in the local level. So because of the tax policy, they can have the money from the tax, and they will have the money to generate to other projects that they need to do. So these include policy that provide tax incentive to women, heads of household, person with disability, the elderly, grassroots organization, etc. So they are, the one who normally left behind. So we need to think about them, and tax incentive is one of the two. This morning when I was in the symposium, they talk a lot about the tax incentive. And somebody said, now we have a very little tax intensive for the one who want to conserve the buildings of their own. But the people, the researchers said, we have a strong tax incentive system. So, but I left at noon, so I don't know that at the end of the day, what would they say about this? Land, housing, and services. So, the approach, they said right-based approach and social justice. So it's, when you read, it's come like over and over again. You need to think about the one that has left behind, and we need to be equal to everybody. Everything is for all. So housing and services also for all. The invention of governments is land market to land use law and policy is often required to adequately fulfill the social function of land. I intend to blow this up, that to make you think about that, the land doesn't have a physical function like, exercise or buying things, but it's also have social function. I think it's a very good thing that you have relation between physical and social relation of the place. And informal settlement need to be recognized by governments and integrated into policy, strategies, plans to guarantee their inclusion. So again, informal settlements, so the urban poor need to be included. And sufficient amount of public space as well as its user friendliness could be incorporated into the land and housing and service when we think about the city in this area. Do you know user friendliness? What does it mean? Can you Any of you would like to add this?
Hello.
Yes.
I think user friendliness pertains to its utility, that it is something that can be used by all kinds of people, because some equipments or some projects by the government um, only caters a certain sector of the society, and this wasn't inclusive to all of the people, which is why I think there's also a necessity for user friendliness. By means of friendliness, it can be utilized by all kinds of people in different sectors of the society, and it is also inclusive in that certain aspect as well.
Right, that's right. So it should be able to use by the elderly, the wheelchair, or the children, something like that. So user friendliness. So it's designed for all. That's right. And it also talk about underground infrastructures. And I don't quite understand about underground public spaces. And they said they should be well connected with each other. I come across, sky public spaces in Hong Kong because they have very little open spaces on ground, and they have like high rises, and they will have like open plaza in the 25th floor or something like that. When I enter one building, and it's in the university, Hong Kong University, and I need to go to like 20, I'm not sure. For example, 23rd floor, but I accidentally push the 22nd, and then okay, I will go to this, and then I walk up. When I walk out of the lift, and then I look, oops, it seems to me that I was in the ground floor because I saw the plaza with a lot of plants in front of me, and then wow, that's great, because they have like this kind of public space, but in different levels, because they have a lot of high rises. So, but I don't quite sure about underground public space, because of course we have seen like underground transportation, but not very many public space that I have come across. But anyway, they need to be well connected and should be used for all. And environment, city needs to work closely together to develop and implement policies for regenerating ecosystem. So, this ecosystem and environment come very important. I like to have 5 minutes more. I try to go like 1 minute each. I don't want to go much further, because I think you have stay in class for quite a long time. Green construction and planning that are environmentally responsible. So we should think about this, when talk about green construction. In the construction terms, we have like the criteria for the buildings that will build. It has like the criteria from the process before the building, during the building, and after the building, which means after finish the building, during the usage of the building. So it has like different criteria. So to be green is not very easy. And I put here principle of green savings. It includes reducing wastewater, recycling material, and cutting costs. Okay, it's the same. But at the beginning, it said city regional food system should be enhanced through the promotion of local peri-urban food production for local markets. I think this first sentence is very important. So when we talk about environment, we also talk about food supply, food system. So if your food come from far away, is it good for environment? Do you know? Anyone? Kai, would you like to answer? I think we lost some.
What was it again, Ajan? My attention was called by my family member.
Okay, sorry. If your food, your everyday food come from far away, is it good for environment?
Came from?
Is it good for the environment?
If my food came from, what
Far
was it,
away.
Ajan?
From far away, from different countries, from different provinces. It
from
needs
far
to
away.
Far away.
Yeah, I think it's also okay because it is somewhat a this is something that is given in the heightened era of globalization. You really even the technological advantages you acquire it from different countries
Is it
due to
good
the
or bad? Very short answer. Good or bad?
I
think
yes.
It's good for it's good for the
okay.
It's good, Ajan, for the notion of globalization, but I think there is also a necessity to buy from around you because each food that you acquire from far away will require other expenses like travel expenses in order for you to receive it. But if you can foster the connectivity of foods and other resources around you, yeah, I'm so sorry regarding that, Ajan, but yeah, that's
It's
that would be my
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
You think good and bad?
I
Yes,
think
Roland?
yes, it is good. Why? It's because it's yes, it's good because it's creating job to other people.
I see.
As for me, I think it is somehow bad because it makes a lot of pollution because it comes from very far away.
Right.
So we need to use like airplane or
Right.
other transportation.
Right. Actually, in terms of environment, we support the food that come from around us. If your city is green, it's mean that the people in your city have food of your own or come from a very short distance. You know the word urban farm. That's why they try to promote urban farm because some of the cities import the food from far away and it in terms of consumption, energy consumption, it's a lot. It's bad since it comes from a long distance which could polluted air, but it can come from organic farm. It's good. I see. Anyway, I think if you have the organic farm close to you, it's better. Okay, thank you very much indeed. We try to reduce all form of pollution. Health and safety. Cities must health arise from the totality of interactions between and among humans and their environments in city. I like this one because it raise awareness that health it raise awareness about human and environments relationship between the two. And urban design again can be impact the real and perceived safety in city. Okay, I try to go very fast. The promotion of sports is very good, because in terms of health and safety, it's a good software. So if you have a policy to promote or to develop your city, sports and art, also as the same, maybe not the same, it can have the good for people health and safety in this sense. Economy and livelihood, somebody choose this one. So we should think about the low income groups and also the informal economy. We said it's also important means to build social networks. And our friend said, informal economy sometimes important more than formal economy in some cities. That's right. And cities must, provide equal pay for men and women. This is one of the most important topic because women work the same amount of men and they receive less payment. So, promotion of low carbon construction sector is also one of the things that we need to do. And education, somebody said education is very important, and it's true. It's the foundation to an inclusive city that learns and innovates. Dialogue is a key driver of knowledge sharing communities. So dialogue means, communicate and listen to the others with patience, with your heart. Not only listen, but listen very well. So local, national, and international knowledge networks should be established. I think this is quite important, and the Learning City try to do this at the moment for Chiang Mai learning environment. Cultural and Educational Advisory Council should be created to help generate discussion. Okay, we really like to have one, but we still don't have one in Chiang Mai at the moment. And school curricula need to include global issue. So to make students to understand urbanization, climate change, including best practice in urban innovation. And in terms of technologies are more than just device or application. In many cases in Thailand, when they talk about smart city, they think about putting more applications or just have like more devices, smartphones or smart tablets for people, and then they can find something in the application, but it doesn't work like that. And top-down or supply-driven approach to the smart city and the use of technology will not result in the ownership and buy-in required for making lasting change. So if you want this city to be smart, you dump, like give the device to everybody, but it doesn't last long in this sense. But access to open source knowledge platform is much more better. And digital tools for urban governments will change how cities are managed. So you can use this technology to manage your city. I think if you have enough data, you can make a very good decision, and that will have effect on how you manage and govern the city. And the last sentence for this is said, the new technology doesn't have long period. As the pace of change for technologies and innovation is become shorter and shorter. If you realize, like, from the iPhone 12 to 13, it will be faster. To 14, it will be much faster. So maybe if you like choosing one technology or one device, and then you said you will stick on with it, it won't work. And number 10, monitor, right? Monitoring and evaluation. So in the planning process, evaluation is one of the sentence that activity that you need to do, because when you plan, you act, and then you evaluate to improve your plan again. monitor is also the same thing that you need to do. So to have the complete and better planning and use of the plan. So access to open data is one of the fundamental tools to balance for a balanced system. And urban dwellers should have ability to collect, analyze, and access data on public authorities and the private sector. So it should be very nice if you are able to see how your local government allocate the budgets to anywhere, and then you say something and then they listen to you, something like this. I think it is very ideal, not happen at the moment in, at least in Chiang Mai. And so it's important to create open, transparent data and metrics for justice and establish a framework of monitoring, evaluation, and accountability. Thank you very much indeed. So it's 10 past already. Thank you very much. I hope you are enjoying this. Do we lost somebody along the way? I'm not sure. We have only 12, but we have 14 before. It's okay. Can I take photographs of all of you at the end of the session? Could you switch on your camera, please? Shiria, is it okay for you?
Yes, Ajahn.
And Yamin? Okay, thank you. I like to take a photograph. And Ajahn Poo, very nice to meet you. Cheers. Thank you. Ajahn Poo, we will meet in the meeting at 9 tomorrow. I will share the Zoom and I will meet you in person after the Zoom session, okay? Thank you very much indeed. Do you want to say something, Ajahn Poo? It's okay. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
Thank you, Jane.
Bye.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you.